Hello YouTube and welcome back to the best game you've ever seen with your own two eyes. Courtesy of me. Best game I've ever played. This made up for all of the losses. I lost 3 games in a row, and then this game. Oh my god. I was having a rough time because this was the morning after 3 fucking losses in a row. One of them was completely undeserved. The other 2, I don't know. But I had the white pieces. D4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3. You've chosen my stream over Rosen's? No way! That's pretty cool. It makes me question your judgment, but okay, d5, knight f3, c6, I thought was like, I don't know, fine. Bishop g2, bishop b4 check. And I haven't, like, seen this move order directly, so I mean, I was just trying to play normal chess moves. I played knight d2, which is best, apparently. It also just kind of aligns with how I play with earlier bishop b4 check. I usually do this anyway. But then he goes knight e4. And I thought this looked very silly. I mean, I just castle, and then what is the point? Like, doesn't this just look silly? And then my boy slammed this shit on the board. And I swear to God, I forget that the stone wall exists every time, like when I have the white pieces, until they play f5. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot this is a thing. Because it's just not a move you consider if you like chess. You just don't consider it. Black is already worse, to be fair. But the problem is that I don't really understand the structure very well with g3 included. I also thought it was a little bit odd that he hasn't even castled yet and he's playing f5. I thought maybe I can take advantage of that somehow. I think the computer likes c5 here. Which, it does make sense, because I don't think in normal stone walls the bishop is outside of the pawn, the dark squared bishop is outside of the pawn chain like this. And I think this way you're just winning the dark squared bishop, right? Unless he wants to do this shit. But oh yeah, but then bishop g5. And then, yeah, I don't need to really explain why this is hideous. Like, the king's not castled, there's no pieces on the king's side. I gave a chess lesson today, and I was explaining a position in a new sense that I actually really like. It just kind of came to me, but it doesn't really apply in this position, but in some positions, like, the pieces are all pointing a certain way, and it's like the energy is being pushed to one side of the board, and so you can kind of tell where your attention is supposed to be directed. Here it's sort of the opposite. It's like, oh, there's nothing going on the king side, or at least with the black pieces, so it's kind of weak over there. But it's like the feng shui of chess. Like, wherever the energy is rushing, like, that's where you should be paying the most attention. That's what I think. But yes, this would have been better. I just played a3 because I thought it looked normal. And that's like the only other game in the database also played a3, so it's normal. Bishop e7, and I played knight e5. I was spending kind of a long time on all of my moves, because I just, like, my confidence was completely shattered. I had absolutely no faith in my ability to, like, make decisions anymore based on, like, the last games I played. They were just devastating. So, I mean, knight e5 makes sense, I guess? I don't know. Knight d7, and I think this was my longest think of the opening. Well, I only thought for 5 minutes. That's good, at least. I think I was pretty sick of getting into time pressure at this point, and I was just trying to make logical moves the best I could. And if I don't understand the position, fine. What am I gonna do about it right now? So, there are a lot of good moves here. I played one of the best moves. There's like 2 moves that are more gooder than the others. And they were the 2 moves I was considering. So what do we think? Any thoughts? Knight f3, which knight? I assume you mean knight d to f3. That was a move I was considering. I ended up playing knight takes d7, which is also good. This is the I think this is like slightly favorable over knight d7. But I don't know, I thought the bishop was maybe slightly in the way here. I didn't know. I also didn't know if f3 is ever a real plan. The only thing I do know, I don't know a lot of things, but what I do know is that this is a permanent weakness on e5, and this is like not a real weakness because I still have an f-pawn that I can kick the knight. He does not. So I played f3, and I was really unsure about this move. I thought it could be really bad, but I also wasn't sure what else to do. I think, again, the computer likes taking on e4. Now this is fine, but shit, I don't know. I don't understand. I feel like if he gets e5 in, then like he's better, is what I thought, but I guess I was wrong. I think the point is that after castles, there's queen b3, and this b-pawn is awkward to defend, and he might just have to give it up at some point, I guess. I don't understand the position. I asked Kostya, and he said f3 made sense. The computer hates it. I was expecting to get yelled at. I showed this game to Kostya Kavutsky from Chess Dojo. And it is Chess Dojo approved. That's all I'll say. F3 is fine. It's really not that great. And then here I actually spent like a weird amount of time. Initially my intention was to take with the bishop. But then for some reason I thought for 2 minutes and took with the queen. I think I was worried about my d-pawn or something, but after I did this I really regretted it because I mean, so, like, I can just defend it in one move. What was I so worried about? I have no idea. But maybe I thought I had time to do this and trade off the dark squared bishops, but at the same time I can do the same thing. I can just do this and it's actually faster if that's something I want to do. So I felt very bad about myself around here. I was kind of really beating myself up because I felt like my position was crap, and I was just really not happy. I was regretting trading all the knights, and I was just not super happy. I'm not worse until I played this move. But for some reason, I felt paralyzed here. I couldn't find a move that looked good. I thought I was like already much worse here. Because, okay, like, this is a threat. Queen b6 could be annoying, followed by e5. How do I develop this stupid piece that I just, like, made bad for no reason? And I just... How much time exactly did I spend here? I spent a lot of time, because I was just really upset with myself. I spent 20 minutes in this position and played b3. So that shows you where I was at mentally. So, yeah, it's white to play. There's only, like, 2 moves that you can play to not be worse, and I found the third best. Yes, this was the comeback after a losing streak. And the first half... And I've said this to many people. Yes, I played the opening like shit. I played the middle game like shit. But if I hadn't played so poorly, I would have never gotten the endgame that I got. And I never would have gotten... Oh, it was just... Okay. So I'm really happy with this game, regardless of how poorly I played for the majority of it. I would go c5, b4, and lose. Yeah, what I did is not quite as bad as c5, b4. That's something I never ever want to do, because I would, as Master Refuge said, just be losing. Not something I really seriously considered. Yeah, queen c3. At least queen c3 kind of, like, aligns with queen d2. At least. I should definitely play that. The other move is queen d3. I mean, I gotta do something. And I considered both moves, but I just like didn't know what to do with this stupid piece, and I was feeling very frustrated. And it's like, I think the problem I thought with queen c3 was just c5. Excuse me. Cut that out. Cut. And c5 is good, but it's like, I don't know. It's like equal. I don't know. I'm really not happy with the position regardless of what I do. b3 is pretty bad. I was expecting queen b6 and I thought I would just be worse. My follow-up was actually going to be queen e3, which loses to c5. No, it wasn't. I think it was like this or something. No, but then there's e5. I remember I went through this thought process of if queen b6, queen e3, e5, like the point was to stop e5, but then there's c5. If I go here, then there's this. So the position is bad. But then my opponent, you'll never guess what my opponent played. I don't think you will ever guess. After white plays b3, what does black play here? Instantly, too. He didn't think at all on this move after I thought for 20 minutes. I think for 20 minutes on b3. I think 20 minutes in this position. And I hate myself and I want to die. And then my opponent plays king h8. Like, what? King h8? What does that have to do with anything? Preparing to push the e-pawn. Yes, I signaled that I'm putting my bishop here. And so he's decided to make that more enticing to me. King h8 is deep. If you just had a lobotomy. Yeah, so bishop b2 automatic. And then he instantly plays g5. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is the idea. He's attacking me. So g5 kind of sucks. I actually spent... It's kind of interesting. I spent 20 minutes on b3, but then I spent like... I spent no time on this move, which is the best move. I'm glad at least I can trust myself enough to understand that e4 is just a great move and I don't have to think about it. I'm glad I at least know that much. So now I'm doing fine. My position is just fine. But he plays f4, and I'm trying to like long-term understand what his idea is. Even if he like opens the h-file, how is that a good thing for him? I'm having trouble understanding what the idea is. I thought for a long time here, moves I thought about were bishop h3, rook a to e1, rook f to e1, and bishop c3 to trade off the dark squared bishops. And all of those moves are just fine. There's kind of a lot to consider here, but also not really. Black's only idea is to play bishop e8 to g6. So that's why I think bishop h3 is probably the best move, just to prevent black's only plan. I don't remember why I didn't play this move. I think I just wanted to put a rook on e1 and then double so that this was hard to deal with, and just build up pressure on the d5 pawn. I ended up using the f rook, which is like ever so slightly worse than the a rook. My reasoning was that I'm not doing anything on the f-file anymore, so why not use this rook in case I want to put this one here or here, or this is already developed to do this and then swing over that way. That was all stupid. I should just do this, like play the natural move, but this is not a bad move by any means. So then Buddy plays bishop d6, kind of forcing a decision from me, because he's making a little one-move threat. My options are playing g4 or playing e5. Those are pretty much my only options. Taking is hideous. I don't really have another good way to defend the g3 pawn. So of course I make the wrong decision, but what does the chat think? E5. So yeah, I kind of thought that if I ever play e5, it should be now because it's coming with a tempo, was my thinking. And e5 is not very good. It's what I played, obviously. But I wasn't happy with committing to g4 in this position either, knowing that this is his only plan. I thought that just helped him out. e5 justifies king h8. True, but my justification for playing e5 is I'm going to do this now, and because of the way your pieces are placed and how I'm controlling this square, I'm going to be able to trade the dark squared bishops off, and you're going to be left with the stuff. What am I saying? You're going to be left with this shit. Was my justification for it. I'm no longer trying to attack him. I don't think an attack is happening for either side now. I think I'm just going to positionally... I have, like... It's an interesting little pawn structure that I've never seen before, and I thought that I would outplay him here. Yeah. G4, bishop e8. Like, what is my follow-up? I'm not even sure. Maybe just bishop f1 to d3. I guess it makes sense that I'm releasing the tension, and I shouldn't be doing that. But so does this. But this is never going to be favorable for me, so it makes sense that g4 is okay to do here. Yes, we went from gaping to gimping. Yes, that's the title of my new book. So e5, bishop e7, and now I play g4. And you might be wondering, like, well, why didn't you just play g4 right away? And I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. I obviously had a change of heart, and I realized that I thought g4 was kind of unavoidable. And I was like, I wish I had played it the move before, but at the same time, I was trying to not have a memory, and like Kasparov, and just, you know, be okay with making a move that doesn't align with my last move if I think my last move was bad. Why don't you think e5 was good? Because the computer told me so. I don't know. Obviously I thought it was good when I played it. The reasons I can give you are that it clarifies things a little bit too early. Gives him like a nice open diagonal for his bishop. That's all I can really tell you. I don't really remember exactly my thought process behind g4. I believe it was something along the lines of, if he's going for this plan, I thought it was a stupid plan, and I kind of wanted him to do it after some thought. I thought he was going to end up getting attacked, and that everything would be okay. But actually no one's getting attacked here, because why would they? So g4, bishop e8, bishop f1, and now, like, I'm not very happy because his light squared bishop is either going to be traded off, or it's going to be like a decent piece. And if a Stonewall player gets like a decent bishop, you know you've done something wrong. So I didn't know exactly what I had done wrong. I thought all my moves were like semi-logical. I was just having a really hard time understanding the position. But bishop g6, bishop c3, you know, trying to trade the dark squared bishops because that's where all of his weaknesses are. And then h5 comes. And I thought this was very nice, not playing bishop d3 right away, because I'm not actually threatening anything, and I don't know, he just plays queen e8, like, what's the big deal? But here, I'm actually making a threat. And if taking here would be like, I don't know, I think pretty bad. Especially if he allows my queen to come into g6. I would have been happy with this. So that's why I waited for h5 to happen first. And queen e8, h3. And then my opponent went into what we call trade, lose mode. So, first we trade pawns. We play king g7, opening the h-file, so I play king g2. We trade a pair of rooks, we trade the bishops, and then we trade the queens. So this position is objectively a draw. However, white is higher rated by at least 100 points and needs to create winning chances. Okay? And this is where the real game starts. This is where the chess begins. Okay? All of that shit was just foreplay. So, bishop b4. Taking is forced, otherwise my bishop is just fantastic. And now he has to deal with this stuff. There's only one open file. He plays a6 here, which I think is pretty bad. I realized here that there are a few things happening in the position that are important to know. So, okay, the things that we can play for are the open H file. It's very nice that his king is kind of stuck defending the G pawn here. Another thing that we can play for is the B5 break, and whichever pawn he takes with, I'd like my rook to be on that file for when it opens and try and get behind the pawns and win in this way. But we need to be very, very accurate here to hold on to any winning chances. Because if I just play a move like King F2, I saw that D takes C4, and then I have no winning chances. Like, this is just a dead draw. I have absolutely nothing here. So, the best move is actually C takes D5, which I played. And the point is that if he takes with the C pawn to not allow a pass pawn, I play rook C1, and this position is already extremely hard to defend for black. This is not happy at all for him. And if he takes with the E pawn like he did in the game, now I have a pass pawn. So now he has one weakness. So there's the principle of two weaknesses in endgames, or I guess in chess, that in order to win a game, you need at least, your opponent needs at least two weaknesses. Because if they just have one weakness, usually they can just defend that weakness forever. So I have successfully created weakness number 1. I have a pass pawn. His king has to stay in the square of the pawn. A new concept to some world champions. Now my king is free to play king f2 and to walk on over here. And now my second plan becomes clear of playing b5 and coming in on the dark squares. Okay? So, king g7, and because this is an increment game, I played rook h5, king g6, rook h1 to give myself an extra minute on the clock. Like, I like doing that wherever I can. Because let me check the time situation on move 34. I have 13 minutes and he has 14 minutes here. My opponent played rook e8 and offered me a draw. And when I tell you that this is where I knew I would win the game, it's absolutely true. When your opponent is like the only person that can win, or the only one who can lose, and they're lower rated, and they offer you a draw, even though there's still things to play for white, you kind of get like a little peek into their psyche and how he thinks this is a draw. He's right, but if he thinks that there's no more work to be done here, there's something seriously wrong. So, king e2, king g7. Again, we gain some time. But the difference here, I should also note this, my rook needs to stay on the first rank as long as the rook is on a8. Because if he plays a move like rook a8, and I move too far away, a5, and now I'm like the one with losing chances. Still a draw, but I need to be able to respond to a5 with rook a1. The cool thing here is that I actually have time to play king d3. I don't have to go back right away. Until he plays rook a8, only then do I play rook h1. So I've gained like 2 minutes on the clock at this point. My opponent plays rook e8 again, king c3, and king g7. And here is where the chess starts. Again, more chess. So, white to play, and calculate everything. Go. I have 10 minutes. So your question basically is, do you play b5 right now, or is there a way that you can prepare it to make it better? I play b5 and calculate nothing. Okay. So I played b5, and the reason I played b5 here is because I felt his king was a lot worse on g7 than it is on g6, and I would rather play b5 while its king is on the 7th rank, because of some things that I had calculated earlier. So b5 here, and now what to take with. I thought it was obvious, and I was correct. However, it was not so obvious to my opponent. So, do we play a takes, c takes, or something else. And again, it's not like I'm winning if he plays the wrong move. But we're making progress. Yes, this is true. Chucky did a belly flop off the stage after losing. A takes, yeah. So A takes, I thought was the most logical, and I was absolutely shocked when he took with the C pawn. Absolutely shocked. The line I calculated with A takes was, I believe, like king b4, b6 is the only move. If you let my king in, you're just lost. And now rook a1. And this is, like, really hard to defend. There's this. If you move here, I can take you. And, this is a position I also thought I would win, even though it's equal. Rook h8, though. Rook h8, rook a7 check, and then I just play rook b7 and I clean up. Bring the king in, promote my pawn, and you cry. And withdraw from the tournament. Actually, the easiest way to draw here is to play c5, which is not a move I considered in the game, but I mean, obviously it makes sense. This is a problem that he needs to take care of. Probably king takes b5, takes on d4. And this is, equal. But again, you need, like, some endgame understanding, like, to play all these moves, like, I guess. C takes, again, black is not losing, but now it's, like, the computer gives white, like, +1, which is often not enough to win in an endgame, but we're making some really good progress. So now he has two weaknesses. My king is active, and I have a passed pawn. So naturally, king b4 is what we play. Rook c8, logical, keeping the king out the best that he can. And here I thought I played kind of an accurate move, like from a practical standpoint. I played rook e1, which to most people, I feel like that signals that you have to keep your rook passive, because if you move your rook too far, then the pawn goes. But my opponent played rook c2, which very much surprised me. To which I played e6. And now I have actual plans. He does not have time to go after this f-pawn. He just doesn't have time to do it. As soon as his rook leaves the c-file, my king comes in and he loses. So king f8, I think, is like the only move, besides just going backwards with the rook. If he moves his rook anywhere else, I just do this and he loses. So king f8 is forced. Rook e5. And now rook f2 probably is a double question mark. I feel like king e7 makes a lot more sense. And then I'm kind of in zugzwang there, I feel like. Because I kind of have to give up my pawn. I can't make any more progress with my king. What was the time situation like here? I stopped writing down move times for my opponent. So I was under 5 minutes, and I didn't give a shit about his time, apparently. But he played rook f2, which is just like, yes, this is Vegas. You have to be able to count these things. Yeah, Keg Tap, you're going to like this. What is a zugzwang? It's like a zwish and zug. Okay, so king c5, and now my king is coming in, and you are going to die. But it's not over. This isn't even the part I'm most proud of, okay? So all these moves are being played pretty fast. Rook g5. And now I drive the king away. And at this point, this still is requiring a lot of technique from me. It may look like I'm completely winning, but it's actually not so simple. So king d6 is best. He takes e7, f3, and I can play king d7, but it feels almost like a waste to me. A move I know that I'm going to have to make is d5, and d5 is best. Regardless of how this pawn race turns out, I'm gonna be able to. I need my pawn to be fast, so d5 is actually the best move. And then he plays a5, which is something I completely forgot was a factor in the position. I have 3 minutes on the clock. And a5 needs to be taken seriously. So it is white to play and win. I think there's like more than one way to do it, but mine is by far the best, the most aesthetic and pretty, and just the best moment of my entire career was finding this line. So go ahead. This was his idea, I suppose, of taking with the c pawn. Is the idea of he can make a pass pawn at some point, which is something I don't think it really crossed my mind until he played a5 and I had a mini heart attack, and a lot of things went through my mind. I had to calculate really fast and really quickly. Did I say really fast and really quickly? Really fast and really accurately. So king c5, what if just a4? Rook f6? Rook f6 right away? Rook f6? So this was like the scary thing that I had to calculate. Rook f6 was my first initial instinct, was to play rook f6 just to do this. But the line, what was the really scary testing line? Was it, do you remember, Josh? It was like a4, rook e6, takes, f2, promotes, queens. Like, what is happening in that line? You have 3 minutes, by the way. I looked that far and I saw that the queens are happening at the same time, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I looked elsewhere. King c5. B takes 4. d6, d7. I believe that is another win. I don't know if anyone's gonna find my win because it's just like so based and good. But all right, everybody buckle in. There are other wins. I think king c5 might win. I think king c5. I think Kostya found like king c7 as a win. I don't remember how it worked, but mine is better. So king d7, a4, queens, takes on b3, d6, b2, rook g7 check. Let that sink in for anyone who doesn't understand it yet. The point is that the king has to go here or here, rook g1, f2, and rook b1, and now I have successfully stopped all of the pawns with just one rook. If the king tries to play king f6, it doesn't matter. As soon as he steps onto the second rank, I take on b2, either pinning the pawn or skewering it, and then I just take it next move. And because I have a passed d pawn, I'm winning. This is a concept I learned in rook and pawn endgames on how to save a draw with rook versus two pawns like this. But because I have an extra pawn, I'm actually winning. And he resigned in this position, and I was just so happy with the tripled pawns. It's like it spells out an L, and listen, I could not have been happier, because I slammed that shit down so hard. I played all these moves instantly, and I looked at him like an asshole. I was acting like an asshole, but I was so, you don't understand how happy I was. This is what I needed after the soul-crushing defeats that I experienced. I know. And it also works, by the way, if he doesn't take on b3, if he just pushes the pawn, same happens. I like this better, though. It spells L, yeah. Yes, and Shizi Gazebo was watching, and it made me so happy because the previous game he watched, I had a fucked up Stonewall Bishop, actually, and I wanted to kill myself because I thought he was going to drop me as a coach. I thought my chess coach was going to drop me as a student, and I thought like my whole life was going to fall apart because of this stupid bishop. But then he watched this endgame, like from the start of the endgame, and that made me feel better. So, there you go. Favorite game.